I reminisce underneath dusty skies. I never pictured I'd be back. Quite frankly, I'm not sure I pictured anything at all. When these worlds seemed so fresh, when opportunities presented themselves so bright. Yet, here I am. Some 15 years into the future, a wannabe creative writer spinning up the gears to wax poetic about this, of all places. Most of you 20 to 30 something males watching this video are mentally drifting back in time to that map, that mission the moment you popped off for the first time, warping the very mental image of what the human mind was capable of experiencing. An almost traumatic moment seared into your mind, a feeling so powerful you still hand Activision a bag every fall. In faith that this franchise, this scenery, this experience will hold back your mental anguish for another hour. Yeah, this is another Modern Warfare retrospective. What did you expect? Let's get into it. A reflexive memory wades my mind towards the smell of popcorn, industrial cleaners, and Chinesium fresh out of indiscriminate boxes. The 80s interior urbanist vision of the future calls me home and my mind swings back to eastern mountain ranges. To a crumbling pillar of community, Fort Henry Mall, Kingsport, Tennessee. I'll make a video one day talking about my passion for malls, this effervescent emotion within me. These places have been special to me, but yeah, this one, well, what's the best way to put this?
That is one big pile of shit.
I'm sure regardless of where you grew up, you can picture that one run-down, derelict mall overviewing a galactic-size asphalt sea of empty parking spaces. The off-putting odor of drop-ceiling tiles ploddingly filling puddles with splintered roof moisture. The anguished attempts to humanize the unsightly corridor of abandoned retail. If you ask DeepSeek where depression and mildew originate, it'll neural network you right back to this unsightly debt obligation. However disenchanting it might have been, and irregardless of persuasive attempts to discourage my love of malls, this place holds some powerful memories in my mind. It's where I first drove my dad's 2002 Mercury Mountaineer after acquiring my learners for the first time. It bore my middle school architectural interest awaiting my mother's arrival from work every evening. However, for the relevance of this story, its purpose is a vehicle to acquiring the hottest game of 2009, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. Like many little twerps, I've spent countless hours torturing local GameStop employees with my presence. Anytime my mother took me to the mall, scouring walls for anything that interested me at all. Asking them questions, playing demos, generally being annoying in a way only 9-year-olds have the capacity to muster. One day, at the influence of YouTube and my delinquent friend group, I convinced my naive mother into purchasing my first ever M-rated game. Running home, I quickly booted up my recently acquired PlayStation 3 and dived headfirst into a new world. A world that would later become the cultural electron orbital shell bonding millennials, zillennials, and zoomers together. A little chemistry joke for you all out there. Don't get too excited or you'll jump 4F to 5S. Anyone? Anyway. Pew pew gun games, right? An overwhelming green-tinged atmosphere envelops my mind as I begin to progress the story missions. The summer rays warming my skin fade into Orwellian darkness, glued to my controller in fascinated horror. Participating in fantasy war, totaling beloved American locales, committing mental images of a future bleak yet heroic. I raid South American favelas, liberate Siberian outposts. Ramirez, get off the roof! As a kid, I had limited mental context for much of this game's broader blockbuster story. My synapses certainly couldn't grasp what combined special forces were, why Russians staged a terrorist attack and blamed an American operative, and what on earth Shepard was up to. However, looking back on my childhood favorite missions, Wolverine, Exodus, Of Their Own Accord, Second Son, and Whiskey Hotel, the DC ones, I'm kind of fascinated. While I might not have known much of tactical political manipulations, USS Maine, what I did have context for was suburbia. Applebee's, 7-Eleven, Burger King, and I-95. For my 9-year-old mind, these settings, these worlds, this experience, it was real. real in a way that none of the other missions possibly could be. To see the World War II memorial in White House engulfed by bullets and flames, it was beyond intriguing, it was provocative. At the time, I was good friends with a pair of brothers with the last name Miller. It's unimportant to most, but it's something that always stood out to me in the siege of America's figurative home. It wasn't just some fantasy story, no, this was engrossingly personal, rallying foreign forces alongside my middle school friend to save our world. Looking back, I think my fascination for these missions stemmed from just how unnervingly relatable they seemed to be. To see America crumble at the slightest misgiving, it helped see this notion in my mind that this horrific outcome wasn't an impossibility, rather a reality for so many across this globe. Maybe that's why all these years later I have such a revolting response to war and those who inflict it upon their citizens. Watching not just your country crumble but your brothers die in the process. A tragedy for generations of descendants. I'm not sure the devs were really thinking this deeply, maybe they were just thinking of yet another dope idea. An idea and a quest to seed America's youth in a Hollywood action blockbuster. However, for what it's worth, I'm thankful for these missions and their imagery. And nothing else, the first time I visited DC, I had a much easier time navigating these monuments. Whoa, wait, sir, before you kill me, let me show you something I've been working on. That's pretty cool, right? Playing the story back to get footage for the video, it didn't quite hold up the same way I would have hoped. The seizure-inducing bravado sequences don't carry the same hype, the hype my 9-year-old mind so fondly remembers anyway. What I can't say is that I didn't have a kickin' time, all the locales, the branching story arcs, these characters. This truly was the game to shelve your mind, grab a bag of Doritos, and forget your troubles to. Bringing me, finally, to what sparks in the mind of most. What this game is remembered for and why you clicked in the first place. Now this is what angry boys from the suburbs did before TikTok doomerism took them head over goth girlfriend heels. The maps iconic, the guns iconic, the sound effects iconic, the rage iconic. Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer unraveled decades of games industry best practices in an instant. A success story so immediate and so impactful the entire industry still echoes this time period. For me, though, what I remember most were the endless Rust Akimbo Model 1887 duels between my middle school friends. The seething rage I feel every time I think back on that one time Jeremiah killed me with a throwing knife that went so clearly between my knees. When Wade broke our gentleman's King of the Hill agreement by blasting my unsuspectable, affable mind with a javelin to the skull. Trying desperately to keep up with the endless, sweaty Mountain Dew-fueled teenagers from coast to coast, faffing about with menus pleading to mute that one kid, the kid who insisted on broadcasting his mother's vacuum cleaner latent soundtrack to the rest of humanity. The beef sessions between lobbies, the coordinated assaults on my craniums from secretive camping locations. These were the memories of my childhood, these were the memories that bonded my friend group together, and it was these memories that were born to die. Nostalgia derives its meaning from the Greek words nostos and algia, translated into English meaning homecoming and pain. The word was coined by a 1600 Swiss medical student by the name of Johannes Hofer. Hofer, after witnessing patients suffer from this strange, debilitating pain and sickness, longing for a time or place no longer accessible. Its truest definitional translation would be better put as the anguish induced by wanting to be somewhere in your mental past. Marketing itself is a bizarre profession, this coming from a marketing undergrad and professional signage swindler. To continually strive towards swaying the minds of those around you to your benefit. Historically, marketing was more a profession of fact-bending, convincing through evidence, if ever so skewed, that your product, service, or experience is better than the next. You can see this in early packaging and radio ad reads, littered with countless factoids and claims of the evident. However, as time progressed and innovative minds like that of Edward Bernays pushed the field forward, a new wave of tactics began to form the root of modern marketing: emotion. It's something I've mentioned before, including in my original video, and I will mention again, that passion is the single largest driver behind our choices. The pursuit of happiness is written into our very constitution. And if I can convince you that if you pay me, and in doing so you'll be happy, well. In my daily walk of this earth, I can't go 15 minutes without being exposed to endless nostalgia-bait marketing, litigating my wallet's contents to sell you not on what could be, but what once was. Now don't fool yourself into the belief that I'm some immune superhuman. Come the June 2025 iRacing build, I certainly will be dropping $12 to relive all of that 2003 NASCAR glory. A past I never truly experienced myself, rather gleaned through years of exposure to waffling, rose-tinted discussion. The modern literary meaning behind nostalgia has diverted perversely from its origin. Nostalgia now is analogous to sentimental memories. Disrupted, repackaged, sold back to us at margin, our thoughts have been injected. I haven't yet bothered, but I suppose it's worth clarifying this entire video is centered on Modern Warfare 2. The sequel to the first, but not the requel to the reboot. Let's go with 2009. This unfortunate fumbling of words was born out of exactly this sentiment. After exhausting their ideas, Activision resold our childhood back to us, muddying my search results and revealing a self-evident truth. That even if we were to capture this moment again, it wouldn't be the same. Not because the air couldn't burden the weight of its ancestor, but rather that we are attempting the impossible. To recapture a moment in time, refined through mental synapses. These moments persuading our mind they didn't exist, they were crafted through time itself. A product of distance from their creation. The vain attempts to recapture what once was, they are fruitless. In our efforts to sell our origin, we've forgotten nostalgia's. Nostalgia, it's a sickness of the mind, the belief that today nor tomorrow could compare to yesterday, that your future remains impossibly dim and without opportunity for the new. The sheer scale of mental gymnastics I've seen folks on this platform perform are of galactic proportions. No, your modern gaming experience isn't the same. I literally just made an entire video dedicated to this topic. Things are objectively worse in so many regards, but why then can't we just play what sparked before? They'd claim because it isn't fresh, so why then don't we play an elder title completely unexplored? Surely it should provide the same joy, well, at least based on their reflective arguments. If this argument were true, they'd be able to recapture the emotion within themselves. This ideal of their past, they'd shake the nagging weight forming around their ankles. What they haven't realized is that the weight that's dragged them downwards, it's dragged them to the sea floor, paralyzing their eyes from an ever-growing blindness. Nostalgia, it isn't positive. Again, it's a sickness of the mind, one that exclaims the best days are behind you, that to ever truly be happy you must escape this reality and return to one a little less evident, the one of your past. To finally recapture the feeling Call of Duty gave us when we were young would require something of simplistic means and difficult execution. To finally let go of our past. These memories, and allow our minds to experience something without the weight of our past scarring our current senses. What made Call of Duty special wasn't the setting, the time frame, or the friends. No, what made Modern Warfare special was distance from our today. By allowing nostalgia to take root in our minds, we've doomed our future to forever being compared to our past. And what do they say of comparison? The thief of joy. So leave here and go pick up that controller. Go enter this world with a renewed mind, one not so focused on what came before, but what is right in front of us today. Find the wonder and nostalgia expelled from your mind and let yourself have this moment, this joy. Escape the anguish and extinguish the past. Modern Warfare was special. It was ephemeral. It was magical. Magic that was obligated to fade. So the question remains, will you let it? Thank you all for watching all the way to the end. My gratitude is immense. I tried leaning into a different style, one that feels a little more me and a little less inspired by, so hopefully my enjoyment making this shine through. Remember, as always, folks, heat strokes and ice cream. I've been Core, and I'll see you another time.